I'll say it again. Higher federal minimum wage is not necessarily the move to make here, man. Fighting for this is an injustice to our children. Let's stop and think for a second. That's a higher tax bracket. Not that you should stop fighting for this, but listen. That's a higher tax bracket. The cost of living is high, and it's probably going to go up even higher. So now that only means is that you're going to need the second job, and then you're going to need the overtime as well, and you're going to be begging your boss on top of that for a raise as well. But no one's talking about a tax-free incentive. How do we get into that loophole like the billionaires and the churches do? What makes more sense to you if you stop and think about it? I want you to sit there for your individual states, wherever you're at listening to me right now. I want you to add up whatever your federal minimum wage is being proposed right now. Add it up what it's going to be after taxes at the end of the year, and tell me if a tax-free incentive doesn't sound better and it's more profitable for us. We can do this. Our spending power is our superpower, and we're not seeing it for what it is. What we generate in funds just for the economy alone, that's where our loophole is at, and that's how we succeed. This is how we profit. This is how we get ourselves to free up monies in our lives to go ahead and invest in other areas like IRAs, mutual funds, and trust funds. You're doubling down on your investment by that. You're doing this for your children's future if you stop and really consider what I'm saying here, because the same system that we're fighting to enhance in regards to raising the federal minimum wages is no different than what our freaking grandparents and our parents handed down to us. So what are we truly doing here? What are we truly fighting for? Now, no one's really talking about a tax-free incentive. I seem to be the only one that keeps insisting on this, and I've been doing this over a year. But what about humanity? How about that? That's another thing that people aren't bringing up. What is the goal here by raising the federal minimum wage so that certain individuals can maybe prosper somewhat in their future, financially? And we're still going to have homelessness and homeless veterans. They're putting our senior citizens in shelters and stuff. We can put an end to all of that if you stop and listen, man. If people start sharing the content, help get the word out so we can build this thing up. A tax-free incentive, and how do we go about it is the exchange of currency is, hear me out, loans and donations, so therefore it's not taxable. That is our loophole right there. The equation is offsetting the payments. How do we do this? We nationalize a nonprofit organization that would allow us to spread the wealth amongst ourselves. Simple. We need to create for ourselves and stop relying on these people. We need to stop waiting on them to make things right. They're the ones that keep destroying it. They're the ones that we can create a better quality of lives for ourselves. They need us. We don't need them. We spent $19 trillion as consumers in 2024, $21 trillion as consumers in 2025, and this year we're on track to spend $22 trillion as consumers. I've said this a million times over and over, and I'm going to add this to this as well. Between Christmas and Thanksgiving, look up how many times we spent over $1 trillion. That's in 30 fucking days. Yeah, stop and think about that one. We done raised over $1 trillion for the Powerball alone. No other lotto system but the Powerball alone. We done raised over $1 trillion for the Powerball alone on numerous occasions. So again, our spending power is our superpower. But we keep hollering about, it's socialism, what's the other one? Communism and. Look, listen, no, humanity. Where's the humanity at any of things that we are arguing and fighting for here? Again, love, care, concern, and compassion, man. Selflessness and empathy. That is what this country needs. We need unity. We need to bridge the gap in America once and for all. The hell with a higher federal minimum wage. Again, it's not really about the money, but if you really want to get ahead and see some profits, the best way to do it is if we spread the wealth amongst ourselves. That's an investment in your children's future so that they don't have to know what this rat race is, so they don't have to know what this hamster wheel is. It is a trap. We are requesting to enhance the system that has kept us oppressed all of these years. And if you don't like the word oppressed, well, you know what? Impoverished. How about that, impoverished? We live in poverty, and we're doing it by choice, people. And here we are, we're begging for more of it. We're begging for more people to go homeless. We're begging. What we need to do is go ahead and, like I said, nationalize this nonprofit organization. We can create our own jobs. This trickles down to the local communities, and it supports the local efforts, the local grassroots movements. And that's how you build your communities up. You support your local businesses this way. You support your local charities, your local food banks, your shelters, your schools, so on and so forth. The benefits of us doing this for ourselves, it's priceless. It's priceless, and it's a long list of things that we can be doing for ourselves instead of sitting here waiting for the elections. I started this last year in 2024, and I've been saying we can't afford to wait on the elections. We can't sit here and rely on these elections. All we're going to do is possibly set ourselves up to have individuals go ahead and just flip-flop on us and turn their backs on us like they've been doing all these years. We can't just sit here and rely. In fact, it's not just about relying on them. Why are we putting all the pressure on them? Like we can't think and create for ourselves. That's the part that freaking gets me here, man. But no, let's go by Spirit Airlines. Individualism, man, it got us freaking brainwashed, man. This consumerism got us just brainwashed. We want to look impressive to a bunch of broke people. Instead of help building ourselves up and building our communities up, and we could do this on a national, bridge the gap across America once and for all, man. We could do this on a national level, and it'll be much more profitable at the end, like I said. Please share the content, man. Help get the word out.